Okay, so let's have a look at the other elements that we now need to add. So just a reminder about audience and purpose, so because that will then help us decide what kind of colors we use. And we need to now add at least one prime number. So let's start off by adding one prime number, which kind of is going to be part of our game. And what does the prime number need to do? So just thinking about that, so I need it to arrive onto the screen after a few seconds. I want it to move around the screen for a bit. I want it to move randomly because I don't want people to guess where it's going to come from. So either it moves randomly or until Bluey moves over it. And if Bluey moves over it, then I want to indicate that it's been selected somehow. Otherwise, I just want it to go away after a bit of time, ready for the next number. So let's kind of work on this, arriving onto the screen after a few seconds and then randomly moving around. So let's get our prime number up. So I'm going to choose a sprite from a file. And this time, if I choose the letters folder, I mean, you can draw your own, but this is faster. And you can have a look at in all the other folders what the various things are, but I kind of know where I need to go. So let's select a prime number. So here's my prime number selected. Now it kind of goes onto my screen, and I can still move Bluey around it, but it's a bit dark really, and my game is for very young children. So when I'm clicked on Bluey, I can see the code or the scripts that are attached to Bluey. And when I click on Sprite 1, as this 5 is called, at the moment I haven't got any code added. So before I start adding the code, let's just make sure that this is appropriate for younger audience. So I'm going to click on the Costumes tab here. And this is also just so we can have a look at what the different tabs do. So this is where I add my code. This is where I change the look and feel of this particular sprite. So I'm just going to click on Edit, and you get a kind of paint type vibe going on here. So let's just color in using the fill bucket, color in the outside to a particular number, and then fill in the inside to a different number. Okay, now that is, or maybe I'll have an even brighter number on the outside, like so. Oh, that's a bit too bright, but etc. So you kind of get you get the idea. So I'm not going to paint anything else. That's all I'm going to do with it. So it's going to be that color to start with. And now if I go back to scripts, and let's see what kind of code I need to add. So I need it to arrive onto the screen and not be here at the beginning. So and when I start this game, I'm going to start it by clicking on the green flag. So let's go to control, because there is an actual hat which says when you first start the game or when you click on the green flag. What I'd like to happen is I actually don't want this to be visible at all. Actually, I want it to have completely disappeared, and I also don't want it here, which is kind of x0 y0. I want to move it off the stage, and if I move my mouse over here, I can see that if I chose x minus 328 and y 0, it would kind of move right off the stage. So let's see whether we can make it invisible to start with. So this is stuff which is going to be under looks, and I've got this which says hide. So let's hide it, and let's get it to just go off of the stage. So that's going to be under my motion tab, and I want it to go away. So I want it to go to, let's say, over here, which is x, which is minus 380 or something like that. Okay, so let's click on the green flag and just see. Okay, so that's when it starts. When I've clicked on the green flag, my sprite is now hidden and it's gone all the way over here. So I've got no way of getting hold of that now unless I change this X to 0 and Y to 0 and then run this. Oh, and I can't see it now. So it might be there, but I can't see it. So let's have a look under looks and say show. Let's see what this does. Okay, so there it is. It's gone back to X0, but that's not really where I want it. So let's get rid of show and choose -380. And let's run this. Okay, so it starts off there, and then I want it to kind of enter and randomly move around the screen. So that's also going to be under motion. So I want it to hide, go away, so become invisible, go over here, and then I want it to become visible, and then I want it to move along. And I'm going to use this command, which is rather nice. So I want it to take a second maybe to go to random X and Y coordinates. Now this is quite an interesting way of doing randoms, because random numbers, under operators I can actually pick a random number. And again, if you think about the XY coordinate grid that we've got here with 0, 0 here, then I want it to move in kind of any random location for X over here, which is kind of -226, and probably that will be minus, let's just say 220, because that's easy to remember. So let me just pick a random number between -220 and all the way up to 220. So this means kind of any X number here, but rather than having go to X, whatever number that is, I'm going to move my random number over that number so that it slots in. So that is now slotted in. So that's going to glide to a random XY location. But I also want it to glide to any kind of random Y location. So let's have a look at my Y. So the highest Y, let's say 166 and -166. So again, let's put the values in first. So the highest Y, let's say, goes to 160, and the lowest Y goes to -160. And I'm going to pick this up and move it over the Y which says 0. So I've now got take 1 second and glide to random locations. Okay, so let's run that and see what happens. So there we go, it's gone to a random location and then it's just stopped. So if I run this again, it goes to a different location and goes to different locations, etc. Okay, so it's going to random locations. But what I need it to do, that's quite good that bit works. But what I now need it to do is I need it to kind of keep doing this, and we'll look at how we change the code or the scripts for this particular sprite to enable us to do that in the next video.